Brett and Robert, so we've got this doomsday scenario that Earl has outlined for us. Look forward a little bit. Tell us, what are you seeing going forward? Because right now, it seems like a lot of people are having a hard time, whether it's doing projections or looking forward. There's so much uncertainty and there's so much hesitation. Are you guys hesitating at all? Or if not, what are you seeing, or what do you think you're going to see?
Well, I don't think looking forward is of great value right now because you got to look here. I mean, this is the environment you have to build a business in. To dream it was different. To dream it was like 2003, where anybody and their brother could start a business and find funding. Most of those ideas never should have been funded, but there was so much capital in the market, they were being funded. But that was the reality of that time. This is the reality of this time. And as entrepreneurs, as business people, we have to look to today and say, how do we survive today? And I think that's our goal. And when things change, I'll work on surviving those days. But I got to stay focused in the here and now. People need to be paid here and now today. Mortgages are due. Car payments are due for employees. You got to stay focused on now, and there is opportunity now. But you got to look. But you can't be doing what you were doing 5 years ago, because it was a different world. It was a different tool set. It's changed so dramatically. But we have to change too. And if you don't change, it's a difficult road.
Well, I think there's a few things there. How is part of your advantage to change the culture at Castle Branch? Is it the size of the company? Because you've mentioned that a lot, your ability to adapt and change quickly. What's created that at Castle Branch?
I think it's the entrepreneurial spirit. It's who you are. It's what you do. I mean, as soon as you start doing the same thing you've done for 10 years, you're no longer an entrepreneur. You're running a business, which is a fine, lofty goal, but you're not being entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial means or requires that you look forward and say, what can I create? What can I bring new to this equation? We did that time and time again, and that's what we do. But I think those are the companies that are being successful in this time. Again, those who were doing what they were doing 5 years ago are having a really difficult time with it.
Roy, before you start on that, just for our audience, the microphone person, can you go to table 38, please? Bruce Cotton in a minute. Robert, talk a little bit about what you're seeing, or if it's similar to...
I completely agree with Brett. I think, running an entrepreneurial business is like playing pinball. You have no idea where the ball is going to go, and you just got to react. And so, my window is probably, 30 days out. Really, it's payroll. I got to make sure that I'm going to make payroll, period. Running a large organization or a well-funded entrepreneurial organization is more like playing dominoes, where you know what's going to fall, when it's going to fall, and then uncertainty kind of messes with your big plan. Well, I'm at an advantage because I don't have a huge, big, long-term plan. I have a short-term plan, and I gather Brett has, similar strategy. So we may be better at reacting, and that might be our advantage as an entrepreneurial organization than the large companies that just can't get something done and put the wheels in motion and make it happen. I will take a bit of a more optimistic attitude than Earl, although I am not trying to raise money from VCs at this point. But, that you hear these statistics like, well, GDP is down 10% and unemployment's at 10%. Well, to me, I hear, well, people are still buying 90% of what they were buying, and 90% of the people are still working. So it's just, I think there's just an attitude that's required to, start a business. You have to have the confidence. You don't have to know, you don't have to have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I make bad decisions every day, and I expect myself to make bad decisions. I think the key is to learn from each decision and then navigate, within a relatively agile way to play that game of pinball.
Bruce Cotton, table 38, you've got a question we'll start with Earl and go across, and I think it's sort of an interesting question, maybe a little bit of a tangent.
Yes, I asked what was your single unresolved challenge right now?
Okay, can I rephrase the question? Maybe. Okay. Have you experienced burnout periods not only throughout your career, but maybe recently or however, and how do you recharge? Because I mean, you got so all this change, you know, you got a lot of stakeholders, a lot of commitments, some disappointments, some people who are canceling, which is terribly, very upsetting. How do you sort of keep going, and how do you recharge yourself?
Well, burnout, absolutely. I mean, to not get a term sheet in 3 years, and well, actually, I got one term sheet, and then 2 weeks later, the guy killed himself. So that was that was unbelievable. Just my luck. Took himself out in a tent, Indian style. But so the biggest unresolved challenge is funding. Burnout is constant. When you're just getting trampled on, you're always saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, and then you really get hard on yourself. So that's why they make bars. You go out and solve your problems there for a little bit. And then it's when you wake up in the morning, 2 aspirin, 1 pain pill later, you're like, okay, I'm back in the game, and the problems still are there. And all right, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to stop, or are you going to get back on it? And they're even in the face of burnout and things like that, which is it's constant. You either have it or you don't. This underlying optimism and confidence in your own ability to make it happen, whatever it is. Even when everything's going the wrong way, I know we're going to make it happen. I don't know how right now, and there's so many things going against us. Right, we're out of cash in February. That's not a very strong negotiating position with companies looking to buy you. And I just tell them, yeah, we're out in February, because I'd rather just be direct and get to the point. So it's an underlying optimism. We went out just by digging it, and we got, okay, we're, 3 months away from running out of money. How did we get the former president of Qualcomm to join our board of directors? And then I sat down at the time, he's a 65-year-old guy. He's living the life of Riley. He's on the board of Callaway Golf. He's got homes in Carmel and all this other stuff. And we said, hey, look, number one, we can't pay you anything. Number two, you actually have to invest in us in order to get the privilege to join our board. And he did it. Stunning. The guy's an idiot. No, he's been a tremendous help. I talk to him every day. He keeps us in it. But it's that optimism and just getting out and make something big happen. And I'm going to sit down. I'm spending a lot of time with him now. And you start assembling little components. Something's going to go. And I'm counting on it. Otherwise, I'll be in the tent with that guy.
If anyone wants to give Earl a hug at the end of the panel today,
Don't do that. Money would be preferred.
Pay Earl to give him a hug, please. Brett, talk a little bit about if you've been through periods where you've just been burned out and you maybe thought, what am I doing here? And maybe it's early on, or maybe it's sooner, and how you deal with those situations and how you recharge.
I think you have to build structure around yourself. So, I mean, your objective is to ultimately get across the finish line. So if burnout's an issue and it's going to take you out of the game, then it's certainly not working for you. So I think early on there was a lot of burnout when you're wearing every hat and you have no money, you're underfunded, bills are due, and there's more in bills than there is in the bank. But ultimately, as you step forward, I think it's your job to build some structure around yourself so that you can continue to grow the company. It's not your job to do everything, because you're probably not good at doing everything. In the beginning, you have to do it by choice. There's no other option. But as we have grown, I've put together a great executive staff. Just recently, I took myself out of the president's role and moved to CEO. And those types of things keep me excited about the company. I wake up every morning excited and jazzed, and I can't wait to go to work. I can't wait to start thinking about work. But I built that structure, and had I not built that structure, I would probably look at work as this horrible monkey that was on my back. It's not. It's a beautiful thing that allows me to do great and exciting things, but only because I built the structure that afforded me that opportunity. without it, it would be impossible.
I have a 2-year-old and a 4-week-old, so work's a vacation for me. and I think, you know, I've only been burned out once in my life, and that was when I was working for somebody else and I couldn't do what I felt needed to be done. I don't get burned out working for myself. It makes me perform better. I play volleyball down at Captain Bill's, and we have a good team. We're typically within the top 3 every season, and it never fails. We'll play a team that's in the bottom 10, and we're like, oh, no problem, we can beat these guys, and we'll get whooped. But then when we play a really good team, somehow we've figured out how to play at the top of our game. So I think when you're in a situation where there's a lot of stress and demand on you to perform, you tend to perform better. And that doesn't so much burn me out as just, it provides a level of energy that I might not otherwise have, and helps me avoid complacency.